Hi, everybody. I'm Sharon. I'm abstinent today from compulsive eating and food addiction. I know I'm abstinent because, like all of you, I plan 3 weighed and measured meals a day from the GreySheet. I write my food down. I commit it to my sponsor. I don't eat anything in between my meals, no matter what. And my abstinence is the most important thing in my life, without exception. I'm really emotional, really moved by the incredible service and the sharing that I've listened to since yesterday. I'm full up with the spirit of GreySheet unity. The unity I'm witnessing today and yesterday is just magnificent. So big thank you to the Latin American, the Spanish community who've made this possible, who've put this event on. How wonderful. My abstinence date is the 25th of March, 2006. So I just celebrated 17 years of back-to-back GreySheet abstinence. And the reason I'm here and the reason I celebrate with all of you is because of you. It's because I follow your example. It's because I do what you tell me to do. It's because when I pick up the phone, you pick up the phone. And I can tell you the truth about myself. I can tell you when I'm in pain, when I'm afraid, when I'm excited, when I don't know how to do something. I can pick up the phone to a GreySheeter. And nothing in the 17 years where I have been abstinent, there has been nothing that life has shown me that you haven't, one of you hasn't already been through and stayed abstinent. This is the miracle of outreach. So when we say we make 3 calls a day without exception, this is not just for fun. Well, it can be a lot of fun, but it is to save my life. It is to stay connected to the solution. I cannot make an independent food decision by myself. I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you in between my 3 weighed and measured meals. My meals are on the scale, so then I can get on with the business of living life. So we have there's a saying in GreySheet, we have a black and white recovery, so we can deal with the gray areas of living. So I was just reflecting on when I came in 2006. The March of 2006, I arrived at my first GreySheet meeting in London, the center of London, in a church called the High Street Methodist Church. And there on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock was the meeting of GreySheeters, about 12 or so members. There were 3 members in that meeting with over a decade of back-to-back GreySheet abstinence already. And for me, that was incredible. I heard a message in that room that it is possible to be abstinent from compulsive eating and food addiction. By that stage, I have suffered in another food fellowship where they invited me to define my own abstinence. This didn't work for me. I had been struggling to define my own abstinence all my life, since I was a child, as a teenager, as a woman in her 20s, as a woman in her mid-30s. I had tried to define my own abstinence, and I could not. So GreySheet had been constituted for 8 years by the time I joined. So the fellowship was only 8 years old. You know, the GreySheet had been around, as you've heard, for many years before this, but we finally got our legally incorporated as GreySheet in 1998. So this was a very exciting time when I joined. There was the European intergroup were just starting to find their feet. We're just starting to come together. People in different parts of Europe, people in different parts of the United Kingdom, in Ireland, in Scotland, people in Wales, just the odd person. At any one time, there has never been more than 40 people in the United Kingdom abstinent in the 17 years that I have been in this program. But what I have witnessed over these years is how the community has come together and grown. This unity is so strong now. It's getting bigger and bigger. In 2014, I went to Chicago and I met many of you. And before that, I went to New York. And in 2016, I did service at the World Service Board, and I attended the World Convention in Boston in 2016. In that same year, I got married. I was 10 years abstinent. I got married in abstinence. It's an absolute miracle that I can even have a relationship today. You know, with the food down, I have a chance at being the best version of myself I can be. And like other people have shared, I made a few notes, but it's impossible in the 12 minutes to tell you everything. But I have traveled from New York to Slovakia, to Seattle, to Germany, to France, to Spain, to Ireland, to different parts of the United Kingdom, all to meet GreySheeters. And I want to encourage those of you who haven't experienced this to do it. To come to Madrid in September. There are members going to Tel Aviv now, just in this month in April. There's Mexico. There's, you know, we have gatherings in London. We've got the big London Roundup. It's coming up in May, the weekend of the 6th and the 7th of May. It's an exciting time for GreySheeters Anonymous, and I feel really privileged to be part of our celebration this 25th year. 25 is a lucky number for me. The 25th is the day I got abstinent, the 25th day of March. And people have said so much. You know, the only reason I'm here is because you're here. I haven't got abstinent and stayed abstinent on my own. And I think that's really important. It's really important for anybody who's struggling, is don't be afraid to pick up that phone. Your very life may depend on it. And we need to receive your call as much as you need to make the call. It's a magical thing. And there were I had so many identifications. I got sober in Alcoholics Anonymous in the year 2000. And like another member just shared, you know, I sat in those rooms. I was very unhappy. My life had been saved as a result of not drinking alcohol, but I could not put the food down. And I could not understand why, when I prayed to God and I asked God to please help me to stay abstinent today, please stop me from eating compulsively today. And I prayed to be sober. God helped me to stay sober, but I could not stop eating. And I did not realize that the reason I could not stop eating was because I was eating my alcohol in the form of sugar, grains, and starch. I did not understand that these substances in my metabolism, my body, it turns it into alcohol, which renders me incapable of managing the quantities I eat. It sets up the same phenomenon of craving it talks about in the chapter in the book Alcoholics Anonymous, the chapter called The Doctor's Opinion. In our book, GreySheet book, 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, there at the front of this book, there is a whole chapter called The Doctor's Experience. And Dr. Vera Tarman, she talks about the same allergy, the same, in her experience, she has seen that the centers in the brain that are lit up by sugar, grains, and starch, it's the same as cocaine, it's the same as alcohol. So for a compulsive eater of my type, I cannot have any of these foods. And when I first came to GreySheet and I was getting my first sponsor, I remember saying, "Oh, can we have this?" And it was a brown grain. Can we have this? It was another starch. Can we have this? It was a particular fruit, very, very high in sugar. So the answer was no. But my sponsor told me to focus on what we can have, not what we can't have. And my goodness, I've heard members of this meeting this weekend say that even after 30 years abstinent, she has still not tried all the foods on the gray sheet. So we have much abundance. There's much to celebrate. And this is my experience. So focus on what I can have. And the miracle of not being hungry, not thinking about food in between my meals is just the most magical thing. So I got married abstinent. My sponsor was at my wedding. She weighed and measured my food. She brought it to the table. I've managed to get an education. I do 2 careers now that I would never have believed I could do. I came here broken. 1 minute. Thanks, Shami. I came here. I thought my life was over. I was 37. I could not have a relationship. I was in thousands of pounds of debt because of my compulsive behaviors. I could not imagine what my purpose in life was, how I was going to be useful. I was very mentally, very unwell. I needed to see a doctor. I needed to get medication. And all of these things have been sorted out because I've stayed gray sheet abstinent. I've managed to, I'm debt-free. I have a career I love. I'm creative. I live by the sea. I have built a beautiful home with my husband. We travel. We spend time with fellows. We have a lot of people visiting us. Incredible. So if you're here and you got here, you didn't get here by accident. There is a reason you are in gray sheet. We don't arrive here because we had just ate too much at a party once. But there is a solution here that is beyond description. It's so magnificent. The gifts that are available here is so magnificent. Just stay. And if you're struggling, pick up the phone. There'll be somebody who's going through what you're going through, who's been there. Stay connected. Thanks for letting me share. I'll leave it there.